Let's look at how government policies, particularly tariffs, can impact supply and demand and the world price. We have an example here where the US can import and produce beef, and we'd like to draw its supply and demand curve, assuming that it can import any amount at the world price without increasing that world price. So let's start with part A just by giving ourselves a supply and demand curve. So let's suppose supply looks something like this. We know supply is always going to be upward sloping and demand is always going to be downward sloping. So we can assume that our supply and demand curves look something like this, and let's give ourselves a world price which sits maybe somewhere in here. So this is our world price at price 0, suppose. So this would give us the supply and demand of beef in the United States if they are importing at the world price. Now part B, well actually let's give ourselves whatever our quantities are as well. So we can see that the quantity demanded is going to sit over here and our quantity supplied is over here, and that is at that price of 0 or at that world price. Now let's suppose that the United States imposes a tariff on beef. So that means that imports on beef are going to be charged this tariff, which means the price is going to increase by some amount. So now we're sitting at P1, and this is equal to the world price plus whatever tariff is being charged. So from what we see here is that our quantities are changing as well. Our quantity demanded has gone down, and that's simply because consumers don't want to pay that additional price, right? And our quantity supplied has increased. And we know that it's increased because all of a sudden our producers are producing more to make up for that lack of imports. So these are the domestic producers in this case. So we can see here that the effect of this tariff on beef imports has increased our price, increased the quantity of beef supplied, but decreased the quantity demanded. Let's see who wins and who might lose in this sort of situation. So how about producers? Do we think they're going to win or they're going to lose? Well, like we said, producers are able to sell more and they're able to charge that higher price. So producers are going to win in this case. The government here is going to be gaining some revenue based upon this tariff. So we know that the government is going to win as well, because assuming that they had no revenue from the imports of beef to start, so it started at 0, but now that they've increased the world price by adding that tariff, they're gaining this tariff revenue, because we know that tariff revenues go straight to the government. So the government can be considered to win in this case. However, consumers here, we're told that because this world price has increased, consumers have to pay more for it. So because this imposition of the tariff has raised the price that consumers have to pay, we can assume that they lose.